To me, this class is more about offense.
Okay.
In Jimbo Fisher's early years, he spent a lot of scholarships, and I think to his credit as an offensive coach, he really wanted to beef up that defense and make sure that whoever his defensive coordinator was, whether it was Mark Stoops or Jeremy Pruitt, had the talent they needed to work with there.
Yep.
But in doing so, they kind of...
Which you don't always see with offensive guys, by the way.
Exactly.
There's a certain amount of pride. You want to get
guys.
the best athletes on offense. Yeah, that's big.
Right. So that's to Jimbo's credit. I'm sure part of that comes from going against Nick Saban's defense all the time in practice. This year, he kind of got his. And really came back. They signed, I believe, 7 offensive linemen now, 3 receivers, including 2 5-stars and a 4-star. Really, it's Jimbo with a quarterback. He's put 8 in the league. He's about to put Jameis in the league. I don't really question my quarterbacks ever anymore. They signed a 5-star running back. It's a loaded class. And I think the key is you have guys who are ready to compete immediately, but you also have some guys who are really talented developmental guys, and they got those in the right spots to where they're not going to have to press these guys into action immediately in positions where they're not ready. They grab 2 tight ends who are kind of raw, but they have 3 scholarship tight ends returning, so they're going to be able to redshirt those kids, put some good weight on them, have them learn the system. It's a really, really good offensive class. I think they met all their needs, specific, with numbers and with talent.
Right. Who do you expect of these guys? Because we do have a top 5 list of the early impact guys from Florida State. Again, impossible to narrow it to just 5 with some of these schools. But who do you expect spring ball, fall camp to shoot up depth charts, to really start competing? Perhaps not for a starting role, although we do see openings on the offensive line and receiver and running back. Who do you expect to, or who do you personally look forward to seeing shoot up depth charts?
Sure. For me, it starts with Travis Rudolph, the receiver out of Palm Beach. He's not the guy with the highest ceiling in the country, but kind of like I talked with Trey Quinn earlier, a guy who's really, really ready to play in college. He runs routes like a college receiver. He catches everything. He knows how to get open, good acceleration, decent top-end speed, not great, but a guy that can come in, and even on a team as talented as Florida State, can be your number 2 or number 3 immediately. I really believe that. Ermon Lane, a little bit higher ceiling, maybe not quite as polished, but another 5-star receiver they grabbed out of the Homestead area, a former Florida commit there.
Right.
I think he also has a chance to play early. Maybe not quite as much as Rudolph. That's going to be something that's going to be sorted out in fall camp, and then
perhaps a specialty player, running specific kinds of routes and against specific kinds of coverages.
Correct, and playing in the ACC, Florida State blows a lot of these teams out, so they really do get a good
time.
Yeah, they work a lot of these kids in.
Yeah,
Dalvin Cook, the 5-star running back out of Miami Central, had a great game in the state title when Joseph Yerby, his backfield mate, went down with the leg injury, and I think he has a chance, although they do have Carlos Williams, who may be a little bit difficult to unseat. And then I think an underrated part of this class is the 2 junior college offensive linemen they grabbed.
Okay.
Florida State made it through the year this year really with just paper-thin depth on the offensive line. And nobody got hurt, so and their starters were great. So they won the national title. But if they had gotten some serious injuries there, that would have been a big deal.
There would have been liability.
So they had these two big junior college offensive linemen in Chad Mabity out of New York and in Kareem Ayer, 330, 325-pound dudes. And that allows you to take some of these other offensive linemen you signed and redshirt them.
Develop them, correct.
Exactly.
All right, fair enough. And Dalvin Cook, and you mentioned Carlos Rogers, but you also mentioned that there is time. There are reps to be had if Florida State is playing Boston College and NC State and Maryland and blowing them out. What type of back is Dalvin Cook? Do you expect him to be the guy in the second half, sort of just learning the speed of the college game? Is he a breakaway guy, sort of like Dalvin Cook and like all-purposey, or excuse me, like Devonta Freeman, or is he more of a complete back?
You know, actually, when he was committed to Clemson as a junior, a lot of people made the comparison to C.J. Spiller, and here we're watching these Dalvin Cook highlights.
Right.
And you really see that. It's a guy, when he gets a crease, he can break it. He reminds me of some of those Oregon backs. He's bigger. He's not the most natural inside runner. He does tend to bounce things a little bit. I'd like to see him use a little bit more patience inside. But very few players in the country are going to catch Cook when he gets outside.
You're seeing
here
the
he breaks
bounce,
it
but then,
on a ridiculous angle and then and then makes that guy look silly. And that's the state title game against Armwood in a really, really high classification in Florida. These are not some scrub teams he's playing against. So I think a guy that needs to learn the position a little bit more, probably work on his blocking. Hasn't had to block a whole lot. I do like how he catches the football, and there's a really nice move there to get open. And when he's in the open field, he has the jets. I think if he can become a little more patient and instinctive inside, you're looking at a really, really good back.
And you know who likes throwing screens to fast receivers or fast running backs?
Yeah, Jimbo.
Jimbo Fisher. So that's definitely a role, as you see, just his ability to accelerate quickly, that you could see him filling in the very near future. Who's enrolling early off the top of your head for Florida State?
Sure, they have Dalvin Cook, the 5-star running back. They have Kane Dobb, the 4-star linebacker. Trey Marshall, 4-star safety out of Lake City, Columbia. Tim Jernigan's old high school. And then they have Stephen Gabbard, the long snapper, and then Kareem Ayer, the
Gotta
Duke
get those long
lineman.
snappers in early.
Hey, and also an FSU legacy.
Yes.
Well, that's the key, because you only have a certain number of spots in a class, and so you can tell the kid, hey, if you want to be in this thing, you need to get in early so that we can count our numbers correctly.
Yeah, you can have the same sort of fun you would have at prom at Florida State.
Exactly.
I've heard.
And he's from Tallahassee, so you could probably still go to prom.
You can probably still go to prom. That's a thing that happens as well.